Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Black Girl Iowa podcast. I'm your host, Emily, and today is episode 30. I cannot believe that between June 1st of 2024 and February 3rd of 2025, I have released 30 episodes of this podcast. But I thank each and every one of you for sticking with me, for listening, for commenting, for following me on social media, and also understanding that life be lifing. And if I'm going to be completely honest, the month of January, which I know for a lot of people felt like 100 days, whooped my ass. And I really just needed to take some time to not only realign some things in my life, but really recognize what's important. But to add to that, I just needed some time, man. I love this podcast and I love what I get to do, but I wanted to make sure that I was in the right headspace to bring you guys top quality episodes, fantastic conversations, and making sure that I am fully present in my in this venture. So I did take a little bit of a break, but I am back now. And kind of like what I already said about the month of January, it was really hard. There are a lot of things that I could definitely talk about when we think about what those 31 days called for and accounted for and what happened. But I'm not going to do that on this episode because it is Black History Month. And this is a month where we celebrate our culture, our accomplishments, and our contributions to our American society. And that is exactly what I want to do on today's episode. And I might even just do it on all episodes, because if I were to talk about the dumpster fire that is the current American government and its plunge into a full oligarchy, this podcast will turn dark very, very quickly. So I'm not going to do that today. Today, I want to share an interview with an amazing woman, Miss Betty Andrews, who has been leading the charge on Iowa's only African American festival, I'll Make Me a World in Iowa, which will be happening this weekend. So Saturday, February 8th, it'll be taking place at the Horizons Event Center at Clive. I was able to talk to Betty over the summer and really get her insight on this amazing event, which has a 25-year history here in the Des Moines area. I've been going since I was a kid. A lot of you listening have been going since you were a kid. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear this conversation. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Here is me and Betty Andrews talking about I'll Make Me a World in Iowa. And I will be back at the end of the episode with my thoughts. So here we go. All right, everyone. So we are going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to introduce today's guest. Noted as one of Iowa's most acclaimed leaders, Betty C. Andrews, through commitment to excellence, has built a reputation as a brilliant businesswoman, a powerful civil rights advocate, and a strong proponent of connecting people around education, culture, and arts. Betty finds tremendous fulfillment and success in creating, organizing, and promoting opportunities that build community. She is the president and CEO of Betty Andrews Media, a media events and strategic communications firm where I'll Make Me a World in Iowa, Iowa's African American Festival, is one of her key clients. She serves as executive director for the organization. Currently, she is the state president for the Iowa-Nebraska NAACP State Area Conference of Branches, and I'm really excited to have her on the show. So, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary friends, I'd like to welcome Betty Andrews to the show.
Yay,
Betty, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to join you today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, for those of you that don't know, so this past year, it was my first time on the planning committee for I'll Make Me a World. And this is such a great event. I've been going since I was a kid, and to just really be a part of it this year in the planning and everything like that was great. Betty and her team are very committed and ambitious about this event. And so, on my long list of people when I started this podcast that I wanted to make sure that I had a dynamic conversation with, you are definitely at the top. So I know you're busy with this new position and everything like that. But, before we get into the show, just how are you doing? How is your summer going?
You know what? My summer is going fantastically awesome. I am doing some really wonderful things. I'm stretching, I'm growing, and I'm just excited about this time in my life. So going well. And Emily, I do want to thank you for allowing me to be one of the, even on the long list of people that you are having with you. And I also just appreciate you. You know, you said you joined the planning committee. You know, joining anything, any project that I'm working on is like baptism by fire. And I, congratulations on that. You were wonderful. You took a major role in all of the things that we needed to have happen, particularly with education. So I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you. And by the way, we're starting up in about a week. So
Yes, I'm please get that on my calendar. I'm so
well,
excited to
absolutely.
jump back into I'll Make Me a World. It's just it's such a fantastic event. And I do have some ideas of who our celebrity guest star could be, but
There
you
you
know,
go.
we're gonna aim high for those things. So, before we get into talking about just some of the amazing things that you're doing in the Des Moines area, and then also talking about the 25-year history of I'll Make Me a World in Iowa, I always like to make sure that my guests have an opportunity to kind of tell us what brought you here. What is your experience in Iowa? Are you from here? Are you a transplant? Kind of give us the history of Betty in Iowa.
So I claim a full-fledged Iowan. The only thing is I was not born in Iowa. I actually came here as a
Okay.
toddler. My
Mm-hmm.
mother was married a soldier that brought us here. So
Mm-hmm.
not completely born in Iowa, but definitely raised here. Went to Des Moines
Mm-hmm.
Public Schools. Have a brother and sister. My mother later became a single mom and
Mm-hmm.
was awesome, hardworking, instilled in us a lot of great values. We were probably on a little more financially strapped than I realized growing up because she made it
Mm-hmm.
a point to give me everything I needed and all the love to go
Mm-hmm.
with it. And so it was a wonderful time growing up. And, just, as I've grown, going through school and all of the things, getting up and kind of looking around the community and realizing, that there was a lot of wonderful opportunities in Iowa. And I'm happy to be
Mm-hmm.
an Iowan. And I also am happy to work for a better Iowa.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And um, so just even in talking about working for a better Iowa, so your work, your platform is really rooted in community. I mean, it even said that in your bio to where you want to make sure that there are those opportunities to build on community. So when we are specifically talking about building community, I want to just jump right into I'll Make Me a World in Iowa. I feel like the day has evolved quite a bit, especially with the addition of the education day piece. But, you know, when you got that event and when you were told, look, we need to have this event, we want it to be Iowa's largest African American festival, and we want it to have longevity and a legacy. What are some really important components to I'll Make Me a World to continue to build on your fulfillment in building community and
You
opportunities?
know what? It absolutely didn't start that way. Quite frankly, the way that I'll Make Me a World started, and it was awesome. It was actually a national call to action. There was a
Mm,
company named Black Side Entertainment. And for those of us who are a little bit older, you may remember, or people may remember the documentary called Eyes on the Prize. It was about the civil rights movement. It was produced by Black
mm,
Side Entertainment. They partnered
mhm,
with National Public Television and were
mhm,
putting together programming that was related to 100 years of arts and culture in America, African American arts and
mhm,
culture. In that partnership, they were producing a documentary, and so they actually put a call out nationally to seek people to do something that coincided with the release of their documentary. That was back in
okay.
1998. I was in broadcasting, doing radio and a little bit of television. and got invited to the planning committee for the first, I think it was the first year. Yes, it was the first year. And about a
Mhm.
month later, I was vice president of the event, and
Oh, wow.
kind of
Okay.
kept going. And it was just something that initially people came together, just kind of interested. We produced an event that happened at the historical building. We
Mm-hmm.
expected maybe 300 people. That event ended up having 1,000 people, just to talk
Wow.
about African American arts and culture. That name,
Mm-hmm.
I'll Make Me a World, in Iowa, the original documentary was named "I'll Make Me a World." It was after James
Mm-hmm.
Weldon Johnson's poem "The Creation." There's a line in there that says, "And God said, I am lonely. I'll make me a world." And so what we did is we took "I'll
Mm.
Make Me a World" and added "in Iowa," and
Uh-huh.
created this event. It was not a festival. It was just an
Mm-hmm.
African American cultural. We wanted to showcase the arts, and but from
Mm-hmm.
there we got so many positive uh, comments and experiences and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. We knew we were
Mm-hmm.
on something. So the next year. We came back. The crowd doubled. The crowd doubled. We
Yeah.
outgrew the historical building. Then we went to one of our smaller convention centers. We outgrew that.
Mm-hmm.
We went to another one, et cetera, et cetera. And so,
Uh-huh.
with all of that, over the years, yes, things have changed, but that's the beauty of culture, right? It changes, but
Mm-hmm.
also things have stayed the same because we have made it a point to showcase our history, to make sure that people feel that they are a part of our community as Iowans. Being Black in
Mm-hmm.
Iowa is a unique experience. You may not know it.
Very.
I didn't know it growing up. I thought it is what it is. But when I talk across the
Mm-hmm.
nation, being Black in Iowa is a unique experience. It's a great experience, but it is a
Right.
unique experience. And sometimes it's a not so great experience. That's the other side. That's my NAACP hat to
Yes.
talk about. But
Absolutely.
yes, yeah. So I just wanted to say, an Education Day. We started that a few years after the festival started, and it's been a great opportunity to educate middle and high school students every year. And I know that that was a big part of what you played, a role that the role
Mm-hmm.
that you played. So it's been an awesome experience. And so yes, it's changed. Of course, our celebrity headliner changes every year, and that's a lot of fun. And
Yes.
just an opportunity for everybody to come out and showcase who they are.
Right, right. And I think one of the things that I've always loved about the festival is how it's really one of those things here in Des Moines that to me it's kind of like on the level of the state fair, right? So state
Oh,
fair happens
cute.
same time every year. There's going to be concerts, there's going to be food, there's going to be all of these great things. And so I remember as a teenager going to the event, you always had like those expectations, right?
Yeah.
Knew that there were going to be just different vendors, different people were going to be there. You always knew about that headliner, and that headliner, what I loved about the headliner specifically is being from Iowa and growing up here, you feel so disconnected from
That
Black
part.
culture
That
abroad,
part.
right? So I remember when Shamar Moore came.
Oh, yeah.
And for 80s babies, 90s kids like me, if you were sick, you went to either your grandma or your auntie house, and she had Young and the Restless on at 11 o'clock because she wanted to see Malcolm. And otherwise, like that was like Young and the Restless is just the quintessential soap opera of all time,
Absolutely.
right? But I remember when he came, and it was almost like, first of all, everybody and their mom showed up. I was there, my mom was there, and so were all my friends.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was almost like bringing something to us that we thought was untouchable because no one ever thinks about the Black community and what it looks like in Iowa. And so over the years, you have continuously brought people that we thought were like we couldn't reach out and grab, like what other opportunity does anyone have to meet Shamar Moore, to meet Blair Underwood, to meet Tay Diggs? We don't. And so to have them come to our little city to this big event, I feel like for a lot of people, it's like a reminder that like we're here and we're not forgotten about. And so is that kind of like the purpose of having that headliner, or has it always started that way? Like
Emily,
when did that happen?
you nailed it.
Oh,
Is exactly why we have our headliner, because we are,
okay.
being in Iowa, people think about the West Coast, they think about the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, California,
Right.
New York. And we
Mm-hmm.
often, when we travel, we get that question, what? There are Black people in Iowa? And we're kind of,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we feel specifically as Black folks in Iowa that we are forgotten. And we also feel
Yes.
that we can't do it as well as they do it on the coast or something like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
what we purposely do is bring that part of kind of our national culture, and we bring it up
Mm-hmm.
close and personal to Iowans to allow them to experience it just like anybody else. They can bring Kenny Chesney in, they can bring Taylor Swift in. Yes,
Yep.
we can
Yep.
bring Tay Diggs in. We can bring you
Mm-hmm.
name more than me, but Malcolm Jamal Warner, or Shamar
Yes.
Moore, all of
Yep.
the names that are important to us in our community. So we can bring them in. And I remember when Blair Underwood, when I talked with him, and that's been a while back, but he was like,
Uh-huh.
Betty, what do you want me to do in Iowa? What do you want me to do? I'm like, just tell you about Iowa. And
Right.
it's
Right.
wonderful to be able to do that. So the headliner does bring people, it does stir
Mm-hmm.
up the excitement, but the whole point is the other thing you mentioned. Everybody and their
Right.
mother are there. That we are all
Mm-hmm.
here. One of our former legislators, Wayne Ford, said, "I'll make me a world
Mm-hmm.
like it's like the Black family reunion. It's actually like a funeral or where everybody comes together, except for the good thing is that there's no dead person." so, so,
Period.
and it's bigger
And
than that.
yeah.
It's bigger than that. Thousands of folks come together, and we also get buses from around the state. So a lot of times people go, Des Moines. It is Des Moines, but we purposely make it about our state. So we have people
Mm-hmm.
from all over the charter buses to show up for this event and to be a part, because this is what we look at as, we kick off Black History Month in Iowa. You mentioned it
Mm-hmm.
all around about the same time every year. It's either usually in the last weekend in January or one of the first weekends in February, just because
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that we showcase that. And that is important. Culture is what
Right.
feeds us. Culture is how we survive in this world. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what? No matter what we do, career wise and other things, you can't get beyond culture and how important
Right.
connection and affirmation, affirming that we are here and we are important and we matter.
Mm-hmm.
Will see us. So yes, when we bring those celebrity
Right.
headliners, that's what it means.
Mm-hmm. Right. You also mentioned something just about culture and how, yes, things are done away on the East Coast. They're done a certain way on the West Coast, down South. But I really feel like for the culture and the community, like here in Des Moines, it really has to be all encompassing because you have the people like myself that were born and raised here. And
Mhm.
then you have people like yourself that are transplants here,
I'm not
but
a
you have
transplant.
really done a pseudo. That's right. She's not a transplant, guys. She would have had an Iowa birth certificate if, right?
Exactly.
But I think, yeah, I think if anything though, it's almost like oh, we have kind of like a culture here in how like we see things, but then when you have Black people from other places, when they're coming from Chicago, Minneapolis, when they're coming from, just talked with a friend, she's from Birmingham, Alabama. When you're
Mhm.
coming here, you're also adding to what we kind of already have established here. Like I think from last year's event, and I have to show you this video.
Uh-oh.
So this past year, we had the very first battle of the choirs,
Oh my gosh,
and
that was so awesome.
that was so good. That was so good. But one of my coworkers, he's from Southeast Iowa,
Uh-huh.
and he was there because my university had a table.
Yes.
And by the time we were done tabling, I was like, okay. By the time we were done tabling, I said, okay, well, I got my car packed up with all my stuff. And I was like, okay, like, you can go ahead and go. And he's just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna kind of walk around a bit. Next thing I know, he's a white guy. Next thing I know, he comes, he sits next to me. He's got a plate of oxtails from Drop Experience. And he also somebody had the strawberry crunch cake. He had that. He's chowing down. ISSRS came in. He was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to leave. Wait, there's a drill team? I said, yeah, like they're like one of the oldest dance teams in Des Moines. He was just like, okay, well, I was a drum major. So, yeah, I want to check this out. Then when the choirs came, I have video of him just clapping and shaking his head. And he was just having such a good time. And it's one of those things where I think for him, being white, being from Southeast Iowa, for him to come to this event thinking this is just a work thing, this was an experience. And that's what he told me a couple of days later when I showed him the video. He said, that's an experience that I did not anticipate. And then he said, well, when is this happening next year? And how can I be a part of it? And I said, oh, don't worry. We'll get you doing something, But I say all that to say that this event has really kind of cemented itself in the legacy of the Black community within Des Moines, but also it is such a strong representation of what Black culture looks like in Des Moines and in Iowa. And so adding that element of battling the choirs, what was your thought process on adding that piece? And I mean, will it come back for the 2025 event?
You know what? So first of all, the Battle of the Choirs was absolutely amazing this year. It was the first time. I have to give credit where credit is due. It was one of our long-term committee members, Rob Johnson, who is running for the State House, by the way. And
yes, yep, and he will be on at some point. So,
and it was a fabulous idea. We wanted to have an opportunity. Number one, we've always had gospel at the festival, and in different iterations in different buildings, we even had a gospel stage. And so, just depending on how it is, that happened like that. But that piece, we are looking at it coming back, but we also have some great additional changes. And that's the beauty about Make Me a World. And that's the beauty of Black culture. As a Black woman, we don't wear our hair the same every day. We change up.
No, not at all.
And so that's what we're looking
Absolutely.
at, just to make sure that we keep it as an experience. We keep it fresh. We keep it exciting. And so we are making, we're constantly looking at changes. And also it is about part of the work about Make Me a World is the creativity that comes from our community. I love hearing about your friend who happens to be white, having his plate of oxtail, his crunch cake, all that. Probably had a little sweet.
He did. He tore it up too.
Yes, because that's why it's important. And it also, I just want to say that not everyone, I mean, we have people that are not Black that attend the festival. It is a festival for anybody. It's about Black culture, but it's certainly for everyone. And we want to make sure. And the point is that also culture builds bridges. And so to have the opportunity to show this is the richness of this particular culture. We know that other cultures also have their own inherent richness, but this is the Black culture. And to be able to showcase that in a state that is 90+% white is really valuable. But it's valuable on the other side of my work too. When you can open those doors in a kind of a cultural, festive environment, that actually builds bridges for working together when we talk about the things that matter, the deficits that are in the community, the disparities that persist in our state. So all of those things matter. So a lot of times people think I'm doing
Right.
different things by celebrating on one hand and then actually having to go to town being the president of the NAACP for the state. But the reality is
Mhm.
it all works together to
Right.
advance the culture.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so, and I know like we talked about the battle of the choirs and everything, but let's kind of take it back a little bit. So, the event is going to be happening again. So, and I'm going to be on the committee. I honestly think that regardless of where I am in life, I'm always going to make sure that I am on this committee,
I love
not just because of how much fun I had, but also it's just this is for me like one of the best ways that I can give back is to participate in something that I absolutely loved in my teen years when I got to go. So definitely doing that now. And also I'm really hoping that we can get Lance Gross to come back because I've been in love
it.
with him for
You
decades.
know
And
what? Now
I
you
was
know we
I was
he's on here
living,
usually, so we'll see though.
yes,
Lance was on.
because I was living in Arizona when he was here, and I was very upset that I couldn't
Yeah.
come back and meet him. But regardless, though, so the week, basically, the event overall actually is three events. So there
Mhm.
is the Embracing Excellence Gala.
Yes.
We have Celebration Day. We have Education Day.
Yes.
Which of the three, I will say Education Day is my favorite because it's that community outreach to students that I really enjoy, and plus just seeing all of those students out, talking with colleges, talking with the different entrepreneurs, doing various different projects, and even just really understanding what career paths and projects they could be doing in STEM is really important as well. But do you want to kind of, for someone that is just hearing about I'll Make Me a World for the first time, do you want to kind of talk about each day basically like individually and what
Yes.
they
Let's
could
do
kind
that.
of expect from those events?
Absolutely. So yes, this is a 3 event festival. And then we also do some things in advance as well. But the point is to bring in number one. I'll talk about the gala. The gala has been known as our kickoff to the festival, and it is a
Mhm.
formal event. And when I say formal, I mean gowns, okay, and glamour and glitz. We
Yes.
purposely make this an event where we are putting our best on, and because we are celebrating the best, and the best being
Hmm.
ourselves and our community. We have a Heritage Legacy Award. We actually have 3 Heritage Legacy Awards, and then we have an Executive Directors Award. So I get to pick
Hmm.
someone who has done some amazing things in our culture in our state. And so we have a group of 4 awardees. We have a youth division. We have the individual award, and then we also have an organizational award. And we've had some fabulous history makers
Hmm.
throughout the years. Last year, just in our youth area, we had a young lady by the name of Deja Taylor. And Deja
Hmm.
is responsible for a new medical technology that has to do with color changing sutures. And that's
Hmm.
absolutely amazing because she invented it as a teenager. And so it
Hmm.
medical breakthrough. And we've had a number of other Heritage Legacy Award winners. And I'll leave it at that because I don't
Hmm.
want to start calling too many names. Excuse me.
Right.
But that event is just an opportunity to showcase. We still have soul food, and that event. Speaking of
Yes.
evolving, we have had that event. As a matter of fact, it started at the governor's mansion, and we
Uh-huh.
outgrew the governor's mansion, but we still enjoyed it so much. And then
Hmm.
we try to just pick a beautiful venue for that, and it's a wonderful time. And then
Yeah.
Education Day. Let's that. You know what? Education Day started because we had the festival, and
Hmm.
it was actually my brainchild. I was not content with just having the celebration. I want to celebrate.
Hmm.
I want to make sure that it is a place where we all can come together and lift the
Hmm.
culture. But I felt like we needed to have more. In order to
Hmm.
make a difference in lives, I wanted to make sure that we had an educational component. And that what that ended up looking like was a day dedicated to education around the culture, but also education around achieving higher education, which is why we partnered specifically with Iowa State University and some other educational institutions to put this event on. And so that day has all kinds of vendors that are related to teens. We have a STEM festival with the Governor's STEM Hub, and we have a number of programs that are related to our young people. And when I say young people, our target audience is middle and high school students. And so but I will tell you that there are times when we get a number of of elementary school students that are like, okay, we know it's the high school students, but we're bringing our kids anyway. So as long as they have good chaperones, we will allow a small number of them. So that day is just wonderful. It's something that I know we work with the school districts. They bring them from all over the state. We have over 1,000 young people that attend that event, plus educators as well. And so it really is a great event. And then, of course, there's Celebration Day, which we've been talking about, which really is a festival. The good thing is also the timing. That festival happens in the winter when sometimes it's like, okay, I'm cold, I'm frozen. What can we do? Well, let me tell you that I'll Make World in Iowa. Iowa's African American Festival brings on the heat. We make it a point to keep things hot in a good way. And so being able to bring everything from the headliners that we mentioned, from the food vendors where you can get your oxtails or numerous food. And we also have a kids carnival. We also have a health fair. And actually, I'm sorry, they say wellness expo. And that is so important. And I will tell you, Emily, that that's one of the major kind of sleepers about I'll Make Me a World. The opportunity to, as we draw thousands of people to this event, the opportunity to affect the health of a community. We have a room full, and it's a big room full of healthcare professionals and various nonprofits that are in the health realm. We do health checks. We have one of our hospitals, actually a few of our hospitals come in and do various health checks like blood pressure, just making sure people's heart is right, diabetes checks, blood typing, a number of other activities as well that are related to health. And that's so important. We have had people at the festival that some of our medical practitioners have told them to leave the festival immediately and go to the doctor.
Oh, wow.
Their blood pressure was
too high. Yeah.
And if you look at the stats, quite frankly, sometimes African American and particularly African American men, people are less likely to attend or go to a doctor on a regular basis. So to be able to have this once a year time where at least can get their vitals checked and then also be directed to what resources are out there and available in the community, that is a profound opportunity. We also have fitness challenges and a lot of just fun things. We have the kids carnival, so the kids get their face painted, but we also have all the blow up rides and things like that. So it's a lot of different things. Sitting here thinking about it, it's like, wow, I know I'm missing a ton of things, but it is so much fun to be able to provide all of these activities to our community. And I just have to say that we definitely have a team, and Emily, I'm so pleased you're a part of this team. And we have a team culture, but also everybody in the community also knows that they have an opportunity to be a part of this. So this is not just Betty Andrews. This is not just my Team,
Mm-hmm.
it is the entire community coming
Mm-hmm.
together to put this on. And so that's what I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate about I'll Make Me a World. And I appreciate a lot of things about it, but that's one big thing that I appreciate about just that people get
Mm-hmm.
ready. We're getting calls already in the office about we just worked on another event and we're getting calls about I'll Make Me a World in Iowa because people are ready.
Mm-hmm.
They are ready.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the great things about your team also is that everyone on the team, on the committee is just as passionate about this event as you are.
Yes.
And I really think that because of that, when you have passionate people working towards the same goal, it just makes it that much better. And it's definitely one of those events that, again, just like what you said, you can get so much out of it. You can, get some information about your health and your wellness and how to, be there and for your family and for your friends. You can also talk with local merchants because there are so many amazing Black owned businesses throughout the Des Moines area or even throughout the state that do all come and, they're selling anything and everything from candles to homemade soaps to just different types of
Clothing, yes,
merchandise and
yeah,
apparel. I
yeah,
mean, they're doing all
accessories.
of these wonderful things. And then we also, I think the other thing that I really love about this event is the number of community leaders that also decide to come to this event, not necessarily even as presenters or speakers, but just coming just to be there. Last year, I mean, granted, he did the prayer, but I'm standing by the stage waiting to be announced, and I see my pastor,
Yes, yes,
just
yes.
coming up to do prayer, and then next thing I know, he's in line to go get food, and he's doing all of these other things, and it's really one of those places where you're definitely going to see someone and you're going to be able to really create experience, create memories, but also make connections.
Absolutely.
That's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this event. Can you
7th
give
and
us
8th.
any insight? When is
Ooh,
it?
you know what? It's February 7th and 8th. So that's a
Okay.
Friday and a Saturday. So we try to have
Okay.
Education Day the day before, Celebration Day, and then the gala. Sometimes
Mhm.
we have it that evening, and sometimes we have it the week before, just depending on
Okay.
the year. So that's put that
Okay.
definitely put that on your calendar. February
Hmm.
7th and 8th, 2025. So we're excited about
All
that.
right.
We will once again be at the Horizons Event Center out in I say
Okay.
out in, but for some people it's right in Clive. So it's a suburb of
Yep.
Des Moines and it's a fabulous place. We will
Yes.
start the day. We're gonna do a status of the Black experience. That's the way we're
Oh, okay.
so you mentioned community leaders, so we will have some of them there talking and just kind of discussing the status of the African American community in Iowa, which is
Hmm.
really that's kind of one of the new innovative things that we're looking at doing. We want to do a temperature check and talk
Yeah.
about in that way. And
Hmm.
there we will certainly bring back all of the multiple stages of performers and all of the other things I
Hmm.
and so I'm looking forward to our next time together so that we can talk a little bit more about the details. So, and we'll
Yeah.
reveal the headliner
Awesome.
through that. So,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Betty, today. And don't worry, y'all. I will have all this information, including that save the date for the 2025 event in the show notes. All right, y'all. Well, again, Betty, thank you so much for being here. We're going to take a short break, and then I will be back with my reflection. Thank you again to the one and only Betty Andrews for coming on the show and talking about the I'll Make Me a World African American Festival that will be happening this weekend here in Des Moines. Um, I really think that this festival is coming at the perfect time. I mean, it technically comes it's kind of like Christmas, right? It's around the same time every year. But I just think that with the current climate of everything going on, it'll just be really nice, I think, especially for us Iowans, to take a moment to really celebrate this amazing festival and to build community and to do all of the things that Betty said, right? So I think one of the things that stuck out to me most about my conversation with Betty was something that she said. Uh, what she said was, culture is what feeds us. Culture is how we survive in this world. Our culture is being attacked. It always has been, and it probably always will be long before I leave this earth. Um, as I still have many years to go, I do believe. But culture is something that we can all thrive in and be amazing in and celebrate together. And that's exactly what this festival is. And, the fact that all of those years ago, back in 1998, that someone had the foresight to say, we may not have some of the same things as what they have on the West Coast or on the East Coast, especially when it comes to access, but we do have a community here. So let's celebrate ourselves. Let's celebrate the different vendors, the Black-owned businesses, the talent, the community. And also, let's ensure that we're doing a pulse check on ourselves. We're taking care of each other, and we're also taking care of our health. So I'm very excited for this event this weekend. I can't wait to go. I do want to talk a little bit about some things that has already taken place with the event. The Embracing Excellence Gala actually took place this last Friday. As Betty had mentioned in our conversation, there were 4 honorees, and the event was actually hosted by Miss Iowa 2024, Abigail Batu-Tiako. And you guys probably remember Abigail, as she has been on not 1 but 2 episodes of the podcast, and I'm hoping to have her on again. She competed as Miss Iowa in the Miss America competition last month. So really great hosting opportunity for her. Lifetime Achievement Awards were given to Akeo Abdul Samad, Terry Caldwell Johnson posthumously, and also Dwight Jackson. And the Evelyn K. Davis Youth winner was Adley Harvey. All of that information about those wonderful winners is on their website and also on their Facebook page. I did see pictures. It looked like everybody had an amazing time, and I will definitely be donning a ball gown and going next year. This upcoming week is the Education Day, which will take place on Friday, February 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you want to take a group or even just take your children, you're more than welcome to go. The keynote speaker will be, again, Miss Iowa America, Abigail Batu-Tiako. She'll be talking about her experience in that competition and giving some encouraging words to our Black youth here in the Des Moines area. And then they have so many different things going on that day. They'll have various different sessions. They'll have a couple of performers come in, activities, and then also an opportunity for students to partake in the STEM room, which they'll have all kinds of different vendors letting students do small projects that they can take with them at home. And the whole point is to really engage in these students and really helping them identify if an opportunity in STEM is right for them. And then on Saturday will be Celebration Day, which will take place from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Both events, Education Day and Celebration Day, are taking place out at Horizons Event Center in Clive. Plenty of parking, y'all. And this year's headliner is the one and only Megan Good. So it'll be really cool to see her talk about her experience and get her thoughts on our festival. In addition to that, there will also, kind of like what Betty said at the very beginning of the day, there will be a status check, kind of like a check-in on Black Americans here in Iowa, to really be able to talk about what it is that we're going through, what we're seeing, and what we want our futures in the state to look like. There will also be closing out the event with a praise and worship battle of the choirs again this year, which will be fantastic. I think that'll happen about 6 o'clock. And then during the day, so during that 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. time frame, they're going to be doing all kinds of things. There are going to be performers. There's going to be a health and wellness expo. There's going to be kind of like a kids corner where kids will be able to play on bounce houses and all that great stuff. There are going to be some amazing vendors and food there. I suggest y'all get there early because I missed my oxtails last year because I waited too long. And kind of like what I had talked about in the episode, my coworker got to them before I did. I'm still a little salty about that, but it'll also be a really good opportunity for you to support Black businesses here in the area. It's really seeing who some of these people are, chatting with them about what some of their dreams and aspirations are, and also supporting their businesses. So, for me, this is a time where I get to go and get to experience all of it. And also just getting to see this committee's hard work Unfortunately, because of life, I wasn't able to be as involved in the committee as I would have liked to. But when I said on the podcast that these folks really care about this event, they are just as much, if not more passionate about the event than Betty and her crew is. And they do an amazing job every year. So hopefully next year I could be a lot more involved next year in the event. As I did say, that's going to be a promise I'm making to myself and to Betty and to my community, that I will always be involved in this event in some capacity for as long as I possibly can. So again, the event is this weekend. I hope to see a lot of you guys out there. I will definitely be there. And again, this is a part of our culture. This is who we are as Black Iowans. And I am so excited for this event and to see all of the great things. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode. So again, thank you so much for joining me this week on the Black Girl Iowa podcast. The podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and also on my YouTube channel, Black Girl Iowa. Please go and follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at Black Girl Iowa. I will have all that information for you guys in the show notes. Thank you again, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.